Saint Seraphim of Platina, California, sometimes known as Father Seraphim Rose, is the first American to become an Orthodox saint. If you're not aware that he is a saint, he has now been officially canonized by one of the bishops in the Church of Georgia, which is one of the most ancient Orthodox churches in the world. It is embarrassing to us Americans that no American Orthodox institution, nor any Orthodox institution located on American soil, whether it be called Serbian, Russian, or whatever, has followed suit. That's foolishness. But of course, the scriptures lead us to understand a prophet hath no honor in his own town. But the ancient Church of Georgia has written services to him, has officially canonized him, has adorned their holy temples with icons of Saint Seraphim of Platina. If you're in California, I strongly suggest that you look up the St. Herman of Alaska Brotherhood online, make a pilgrimage to the small town of Platina outside of Redding, California, kneel before Saint Seraphim's body, put your forehead on the earth in reverence, and then kiss his holy reliquary and ask him to pray for you. So what did Saint Seraphim have to say about pornography? He did have something to say about it. This is what he said. He said, "It is the iconography of Satan." Now, if you look here, right there, you're looking at an icon of Saint Nephon, the Patriarch of Constantinople, and some other Orthodox icons as well. These are icons according to the Holy Orthodox tradition of iconography. That large one of Saint Nephon was written by a dear friend of mine who's one of the best living iconographers on the Holy Mountain. If you would like icons from Father Modestos, I have been given the blessing of distributing them, and you're welcome to contact me via Telegram and request an icon. But what did Saint Seraphim mean by saying that pornography is the iconography of Satan? Well, one thing he meant was don't watch it. I can assure you of that. But does this even need to be said on a channel like mine, on a channel dedicated to semen retention? Yes, it needs to be said. Because in the time in which we are living, it has become normalized. There was a holy missionary from Mount Athos, from the monastery of St. Gregory's. Decades ago now, he's probably old enough to have been my father, maybe grandfather. Father Cosmas was his name. He had a calling, a rare calling, to be a missionary to Africa. And so he was. Blessed Cosmas of Grigoriou, pray God for us. He had to show them an entirely new way of life. One of the things that was normalized by their society was stealing. Even people who would otherwise come across as moral and upstanding people had learned to steal simply to provide for their families as though it were a normal way of life. It was very, very, very difficult for Father Cosmas to explain to him that Christians do not earn their living, do not feed their wives and children by stealing. Also, the tribesmen that he encountered in Africa were very promiscuous. If anybody had the opportunity to have sex with anybody, including someone who was not one's own spouse, that was immediately taken advantage of, just as a matter of course. In other words, adultery and fornication were absolutely normalized, as was stealing. These people didn't really think of adultery as wrong. Now, they may not have advertised that they were doing it. They might have kept it a secret. But it was a given. If there was a loose woman who would allow a married man access to her body, the normal thing was for that married man to absolutely take advantage of that. The answer was yes. Again, for stealing. So both stealing and adultery were just norms in that culture. But they loved what he showed them of holy orthodoxy. It was just very, very, very difficult for them to accept that this new way of life, this calling to Jesus Christ, meant chastity before marriage, fidelity to one's spouse, and that stealing had to be given up. This was almost shocking for them. So for us, postmodern men, for us who have access to the internet, who live in the 21st century, deep into the 8th millennium, which is to say the last era before Christ returns, we now live in a time when for most men such as ourselves, the consumption of pornography, combined with masturbation, is simply the norm. Now, perhaps you've heard of NoFap, or you decided to masturbate without pornography. Well, let me address that. I'll just be blunt about this. If you are masturbating with or without pornography, if you're watching pornography, please stop immediately. Please stop right away. But if you're masturbating with or without pornography, please stop. Why do I say this? Your body was designed for sexual activity. That is true. The norm that God created is for a woman's body to provide sexual pleasure to a man's body. Now, if you're a man who's watching this, you know one thing very well. You don't have a woman's body. You have a man's body. There was an Indian spiritual teacher who said something about this which may astonish you. He said that the lowest form, the absolute lowest form of sexual activity is masturbation. Above that is homosexuality, because at least there's another person involved. He wasn't recommending it, by the way. He was not recommending it. So then above that, you have normal heterosexual activity. So that's the first kind of sexual activity in which you actually have the possibility of an energetic and spiritual advantage. Because love can be conveyed naturally between a man and a woman's body, because they were designed to do that. And then he said the highest level of sexuality is celibacy. So according to him, if you're engaging in masturbation, you're engaging in something that is even beneath homosexuality. But is that unnatural? You need not dishonor yourself in that manner. Even if you have, I'm not saying for you to feel any particular way about it. I'm not asking you to be ashamed. I'm not asking you to be guilty. How you feel about what you've done is between you and God and anyone that you wish to dialogue with on an intimate and sacred basis. So I'll leave alone the question of how you ought to feel about what you may have done to yourself, with yourself. But I'd like to reemphasize what St. Seraphim said, that pornography is the iconography of Satan. Whenever you're sexually stimulated, you are magnetizing yourself towards whatever and whomever is in your attention while you are sexually aroused. When I pray, I faced east. These icons you see behind me are placed towards the eastern wall and eastern corner of my home. So I stand and face east. I face east to say my prayers because this is the way Christians have always prayed. It is the holy tradition. We face the holy icons to the east. If you are facing pornographic imagery, if you are facing the iconography of Satan while sexually aroused, what are you doing to yourself? Well, I'll tell you. You are inviting demonic energies into your life, and this is very serious. Now, what if you masturbate without pornography? Okay, so then you're merely dishonoring yourself by utilizing your vessel in a way it was not designed to be used. Only after a long period of abstinence from masturbation, if it's a practice you've already begun. I started very young, when I was 14. Maybe some of you started younger. But after you abstain from it for a long while, you will immediately be able to sense intuitively that the act of masturbation is the act of dishonoring yourself, whether or not you ejaculate. Let me repeat that. The act of masturbation is a way of dishonoring yourself, whether or not you are ejaculating. Now, that doesn't make any sense to you unless you're interested in holiness. If you're not, then this might just be nonsense. But as one man to another, I ask, try the experiment for yourself. Try going 90 days, try going 100 days with no masturbation and no watching pornography. Not in combination, not separately. No pornography, no masturbation. And just find out what that's like. It's an experiment. It's an experiment that I highly recommend. Thanks very much for watching. And if you wish to get in touch, you can do so via the links below. If you want my personal attention, I do offer coaching. Be sure to let me know that that's what you're interested in, and I'll get back to you and let you know how that works. Thanks again for watching, and do continue to share this content with those who you feel may be blessed by it, because this is a small good work that you can do, but it's a meaningful good work. It means that more men get exposed to this content. When you do something good like that, it transforms your state of retaining your seed into a state which is more and more God-pleasing. This is highly beneficial for you in all ways. Financially, in terms of your health, your relationships, your ability to continue retaining your seed, I promise, will increase if you share this content. It cannot be otherwise, because that means you're abiding by the principle Christ taught us when he said, "Freely ye have received, freely give." Goodbye for now. Pay attention to yourself.